you being explaining what you just did, your value is just as much as what you do is valued just as much as theirs is.
Right. Yeah.
So now, as a young child, you moved here from Liberia, you said?
Yes, Liberia.
Okay, how old were you?
I actually was, I think, like 3 months. I
Oh,
did
okay.
have the opportunity to go back and forth. So I grew up here, but I had times where I would go to Liberia and visit. And but my household here was West African, so I grew up in the best of both worlds.
Wow.
I grew up. We were in the North Meadows for a while,
Right.
and then we went down to off of 32nd and Juneau. So I was in the inner city, but
Right.
inside my house was like an African household.
Right,
You
right.
wouldn't know.
Right.
So I feel like for me, it was really a blessing because um, I embraced Milwaukee in a way that some of like maybe my older family members didn't because they didn't grow up here.
Right,
They came
right.
here so much older. But I still got to hold on to my culture and maybe share some of that with my peers
Right.
that may not be familiar with my culture.
Right. So now, would you say you going back and forth with and experiencing that? Has that impacted your life and your creativity?
Oh, most definitely. I think anybody who gets a chance to travel, you just see different things, and I think that's an important thing to be able to experience because it opens your mind up to things that are not just here. Because if you're just here, all you see and all you know is what's here. But being able to travel and go to different places, you learn that Milwaukee is small.
Right.
It can have a big impact, but we're more connected than we realize,
Right.
and that there's more than just here. So I like being able to bring those aspects to people and just maybe give them a little bit of a different point of view and bridge it all together.
Right. 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 That's awesome. That's awesome. So now you're younger, high school. When did you find that creative bone about yourself?
Well, actually, I think I was like maybe 8 or 9.
Oh, even before high school. Huh?
Yeah, before then. So I don't know if you guys remember, there used to be like magazines, and in the magazines there was a turtle, and they were like, if you could draw this turtle, that means you're an artist.
Really?
Yeah, and so I used to draw that turtle, and I was like, okay, I can draw the turtle, so I know that I'm an artist
Right.
at some point. But because of the time, we were taught that you're broke if you're an artist. So I just knew it was something I could do, and I have several other talents. I know how to braid hair, even though I didn't do this. But I make clothes.
Yeah.
I love to dance, so I've always been into very creative things. So I always just kind of pushed it down because it's something you know how to do.
Yeah.
But with me being a stay-at-home mom, I think I was like what, almost 38, having my youngest is 6. It was a lot more stressful than I realized, and I needed an outlet.
Yeah.
Desperately.
Right.
And I just started creating as many things as I could to see what felt good. And for whatever reason, even though I grew up sketching, I used to sketch more than I painted. I used to paint on clothes. But painting for me, it just had some kind of fluidity, something about it that really felt good.
Right.
And I just kind of I was like, okay, this is it. And then I think Donald Trump becoming president, I was like, oh my God, he's president and he didn't do anything, you know what I mean? But I was like, but that gave me hope to be an artist because I was like, I could be whatever I want because here he is. He picked that he was going to be a president, and now he's president. Right, and now he's president. So I was like, just like that, I'm gonna be an artist.
There you go.
And at first, I had family members that didn't even realize that I really drew or was into creative things because maybe I didn't show that to them, and they were like, you just picked this up. No, I didn't just pick it up. I'm just sharing it with you at this time.
Right.
It's always been in me. I just didn't necessarily let someone know, but him doing that did inspire me. And then there was one more artist there was someone who got paid like $1 million for sticking a banana to a wall.
Yeah.
They were like, that was, yeah, they were like, that was fine art. And I was like, that was like my reinforcement. That was my confirmation.
That's God.
I was like, oh my God, somebody saw beauty in that. Someone wanted to pay $1 million for that too.
Mhm.
I was that means that everything I do is genius. And really everything every one of us does is genius. Because if someone saw beauty in someone duct taping a banana to a wall, that means I'm an artist, you're an artist, you're an artist, you're an artist, you're an artist. You know what I mean? Like we can all do it if we really want to.
Right.
And somebody will find beauty in what we do.
Right. And I call that creativity, because like you said, you like to dance, you like to do other things, and I always say that, like, I'm a tool and die maker.
Mhm.
I work with my hands and oil, but I even have some creativity about myself, and everybody in this room does.
Mhm.
And I do believe as individuals, as humans, we have to tap into that creativity, regardless of what it was.
Yes.
My dad built cars. He didn't know how to draw, but he was able to build cars. So just tapping into the individual's creativity is your own creativity is very important within ourselves. Now, you mentioned 38, but before 38, in your 20s and teenage years, were you being creative at those times?
I would sketch, and I would usually sketch when I was upset, sad,
Okay.
depressed. So I have a sketchbook. I have a couple of people in college that remember I used to sketch things,
Yeah.
but it usually, literally, when I was feeling bad, I would sketch. And so that also kind of just helped me to realize that um, even if you decide not to like make a career of it,
Mm-hmm.
it is healthy to explore your different creative. I don't care if you're you like to make birdhouses, you like to make paper maches,
Right.
whatever it is that you do that brings you some kind of release and satisfaction outside of alcohol and the other things that people do to dull or numb themselves. I feel like being creative it literally has saved my life. It's
Right.
taken my life into a whole different direction than I could have been in had I just wallowed in my stress and pain.
Right.
Because a lot of times people, they're stuck there and they don't know what to do with that space. You don't
Right.
know how to transform it. And I just started creating things, and every time I would create a new painting, I literally would stick it on my wall, and it had to change my atmosphere. That was my thought, is it was going to somehow change the atmosphere in my home, which was going to just change everything, and over time it did.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, is in your home with your kids and your other family members, do you see creativity coming from them? Not just your kids, but maybe your sisters, your brothers, your parents.
Almost.
Like is it did the creativity start with you, or did you were you influenced by someone?
I'm trying to think who was really creative in my family. I think one of my older brothers may have drawn, but I'm the youngest of two older brothers. They're 7 years older than me, so a lot of my time as a young person was around my cousins.
Okay.
I don't remember my cousins being especially creative. I was the one that would like make costumes and all
Right.
that. But I can say that like I went to Marshall High School. There were a lot of creative people that
Right.
I was around. And I think just naturally when you come from a family, like we had a lot of refugees in my house, so we didn't always have the budget for school. I remember like growing up and crying because I had to go to Goodwill to
Right.
get clothes. But that made me be creative because then I knew how to pick things and put things together. I knew how to make stuff stretch. I knew how to, like, when people had the cross colored clothes, I couldn't afford cross color, but what I would do is I'd take some jeans and I'd paint Bart Simpson on one half
Yeah.
and some stuff on the other, and I had something just as cool. We didn't have Halloween costumes. I'd go find like a onesie and paint my cousin's face and
Right.
give her a pacifier, and now she's a
Right.
baby.
Right.
So I would just do different creative things, and I don't think at the time we saw it as creative. We just saw it as
Surviving.
make you do. Yeah, you just made do with what you had, and you made it work. But I think that all of those things have really helped to mold me into who I am.
Right.
So
Right.
I definitely appreciate it.
Right. So now you know you have different artists and different artists label themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You can be a sculpture. You can be abstract or physical, but you can do faces. What do you consider yourself in regards to your art? What type of artist would you say you are?
That's a good question. I know someone told me what what it is. Well, when I like to think of myself, I just think of myself as a creative.
A creative.
I definitely know I'm an artist and I paint and I do live art, but I don't like the limits.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's so many different ways I could segue and move. I just feel like me being a creative is the best title
Right.
for it because everything I do is, yeah, I create.
Okay.
And yeah, when I get ready, I'm a divine creator because I'm
Yeah.
creating divinely.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Great point. So now let's get into the sipping paint. So you, what inspired you to do sipping paints?
So when I was working at Painting with the Twists, it just so happened that COVID happened.
Okay.
So they had to shut down. And that was my opportunity I went ahead and bought all the supplies. I don't even think they realized all their customer base because for a while there were so many people coming to the classes, and because they were African American women and it was in Shorewood, the owners assumed that they were my friends and family. They were like, your friends and family are really supporting you. And I was like, oh, you guys don't even know who your customers are. You think that they are my friends and family, but really they are coming for me because they're
Right.
having a good time painting with me.
Right.
But after I got my supplies together, my equipment together, I remember Tanya. Tanya was my first, I think her last name is Carell, but she was my first customer, and I was so thankful. And then I just kind of networked, and even Chandra Young, but she was another one. But there were ladies from the Sip and Paint that used to go with Painting the Twist that hired me during COVID, and I didn't get to paint as much as I wanted to or throw them as much as I wanted to because then I would start investing in the space and then maybe it didn't have the turnout. So I just figured, you know what, I got the equipment, I'll just let people hire me when they're ready.
Mm-hmm.
That way there's no pressure on me. I don't feel any kind of way about when they either have a bad turnout, and it was a lot less stressful. But then that also, I was doing live art at Freight 38. And so I was like, okay, well, that's another opportunity for me to display my art and be able to interact with people. And that's how I met you at Bronzeville.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's been one of my knacks is that I can paint in front of people and still interact with them and explain what's going on. Whereas most artists like to create privately and within their own time frame.
Right.
They don't like to have that constraint.
Right. So now, with the sip and paint, I know, you know, a lot of people are doing that nationally and even locally here.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of tell the audience what they would expect from if they came to one of your sip and paints.
Okay. Well, before I say this, I have never been to anyone else's sip and paint. I've never been to a sip and paint in my life.
Really?
I've only just hosted them.
You created them.
You're right. So I don't really have a reference of what I think or what I know is supposed to happen. If you come to my sip and paint though, I definitely try to keep it funny. I name the brushes. Depending on the group, if it's an adult group, I keep it a little spicy. If it's kids, I keep it PG. I do praise and paint, so you know, hallelujah too.
Right.
You know, I try to make sure. Yes, I try to make sure that it's appropriate for the group that I'm working with. But other than that, anyone that has been at a sip and paint with me or had me host it will let you know I help them change their perception.
And
Because
if you don't mind,
Mhm.
their perception of what?
of their art. So a
Okay.
lot of times people will have an idea. They'll look at my painting and say, my art is supposed to turn out like your art. And I've explained to them, my second painting is not going to turn out like my first painting. So why in the world would your art be like my art? Your art is your art and my art is my art. But if you just change how you view it, you can see the, the beauty in it. Sometimes, like a lot of times I'll do like a lot of women silhouettes, and they'll be like, well, her arm is over here and yours is there. And I'm like, well, yours is a little sassier than mine is. That's all that is.
Right.
And then I'm like, take a step back and look, and they're like, oh, I see it. And it's like sometimes we just are overly critical with ourselves when really, if you take a step back and look at what you're doing, you'll see how beautiful and magnificent it is. And sometimes it even takes someone else looking at what you're doing to be like, wow. And then you're like, oh, okay, you're right. And that's where I come in.
Okay.
And then I feel like that small thing, even though it's just a sip and paint, you can take that and apply it to different things. And that's where the difference is. And people are like, oh my God, thank you. You've been so helpful. Or sometimes I'll come over, okay, do this swish right here. Let's do that to, help you jazz it up a little how you want to.
Right.
Just so they can make it their own and feel like they left with something they're proud of, I try to make sure I go around and help. Whereas I've heard most places just kind of let you go at it, figure it out.
Right.
I'm more hands-on.
Okay.
Yeah.
One thing too I notice about when you do your live art is that you come up with an idea as you're drawing, right?
Yeah.
But like before you may go to an event, like you did some work here for our last Mindful Mondays. You started with a white canvas. Did you, a day before or 2 days before, did you gather your thoughts and say, this is what I'm going to paint? Or did you think about it right then and there and then just start painting?
So I've done it both ways. Usually when I try to premeditate what I'm going to paint, it usually doesn't turn out as I want.
Right.
So I've kind of learned to just let it flow.
Okay.
That usually seems to work best for me so far. And I try to make sure I keep it simple. Sometimes, like as an artist, one day we went to a play or a show, and the graphics were so pretty. In my head, I was like, okay, I'm putting that in my painting. And the next day I'm trying to put it in my painting, but it really doesn't go.
Okay.
It doesn't go. So it's usually better if I just kind of create. And I feel like that kind of sets the mood of the event as well.
Okay. So now with that said, let's go into some of your work. We have 5 pieces. We can start with, we have the 2 tabletop pieces, and then we have the pieces behind us. Can you describe to us in the audience what inspired you and what materials you used on these few different pieces?
Okay, so these 2 are definitely acrylic pours. That's when I was just practicing with pours. I'm sure that one is probably black light as well. I do a lot of black light art, so I like the glow in the dark, like the 70s thing. Yeah, I like that a lot.
So now with that said, so first thing, pours, right? I understand what pours when you say pour, but explain to the audience what that is.
A pour is like I think it's acrylic. It's like a looser acrylic paint, and you pour it onto the canvas, and then usually these beautiful fluid colors kind of emerge, depending on what colors you use. I've tried some with glitter as well. I think there's one back there with glitter. So when I was trying these were like some of my first few pours, and I can't say that I've really done a whole lot since then.
Okay.
But I do like to try new and different things. So
now with pours, you allow the gravity to take place, right? You're not really using a brush. You're just letting the gravity of
that, or sometimes a blow dryer. You can blow dry it around to make different shapes. You can tilt your canvas to
Yeah,
help
yeah.
it spread the way you want to. So it is more of a fluid, more abstract type of painting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the materials you mentioned about glow light. Or,
So this one doesn't have black light. This will just be the glossy and matted paint that I use for that.
mm-hmm.
And that one does have, I can see bits of like the green fluorescent for black light. I like glow in the dark stuff.
Yeah,
I I think it's just something to help set me apart as well.
Yeah. All right. So then now this piece here, I thought I saw you working on this piece online. Is that the piece that you were working on, or is this something different?
No, so I did that one at the Poetry Unplugged Nike Day party. So I did that from start to finish. I want to say we started at like 3, 4 and ended at 9. And it was just a live painting event. And for that one, um, my intention at the end was to put a Nike swoosh on it, but I thought about it. I won't be able to make prints of it with their logo on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to keep it as is. For me, that's more of like patchwork quilt, community connection, our heritage. I did play on some of the colors in the flyer of the original promotion.
Right.
So sometimes, depending on what's going on, I'll look at what the flyer has going on,
Right.
and I'll go with those same type of colors, themes, so that my finished product kind of flows with what they got going on.
Okay. Now, is that black light paint as well?
No, that one is not a black light paint.
Okay. So what materials did you use?
So that's acrylic, and I like to go between the glossy and the matted. I like the different shine different.
Right.
I just like how it bounces off of each other.
Right. Now, something like this, I know you did it at an event, so you had a lot of people speaking to you, but how long would something like that take you to do?
So at the event, it took me probably about 4 hours to do.
Okay.
But that's with breaks, talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, about 3, 4 hours.
Right. So, but if you were in your lab, it would.
Oh yeah, I probably could do that within 2 hours at home by myself.
Okay.
If not less.
Right.
Yeah.
So then now we have this one here.
Yes. So that one is that one's with African fabric. On that, so there's like green sand and acrylic paint. Because I am from West Africa, I love to use the different fabrics just to hopefully just bring a part of my heritage to Milwaukee, and share what I have, and I just love her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now you mentioned acrylics on these other pieces, but this one you're mentioning African fabric. I noticed that a lot of artists too, they use the different acrylics and different things, but now I notice a lot of them are adding fabrics and different things. So the element of the fabric, explain to the audience what, in your words, in your opinion, beside bringing the culture to Milwaukee, but why not? How do you like using that on pieces?
So for the African fabric, sometimes I like to use it in place of where I would have their skin. Sometimes I'll just put it where their clothing is. Sometimes I'll do the traditional like hair ties on the women. So I like to use it like that. I've even used it in part of like the flowers over there. But for me, it's like bringing our ancestors. It's like having our history tied in with now, because for me, she looks very current, but that fabric lets me know that it's from another time. There's part of her that's not from here, and that little bed of flowers is kind of to me where she's sprouting up from.
Right. And it gives you more of a vintage aspect, would you say, when you say from not this time but another time? Is that what you're kind of saying?
Yes. So it ties in our past to the future, to the present.
All right, nice.
And this one is a black light painting. Her
Okay.
silhouette glows.
Right. Nice. All right, and then this one right behind me here.
So this one I just did live at the Black Holocaust Museum. And that was nice too. That was a live event. I think that was like a 3-hour painting. And that was Poetry Unplugged. So I just, as the poets were performing, and the ladies were singing, live band, I just went ahead with the flow. And I remember someone mentioned to me, she was like, "Oh, I noticed once this poet started, you started using these colors."
Okay.
So, and I didn't, it was subconsciously, but she was just like, "Oh, wow, you went darker." And so people will notice it, but I guess I do kind of change as the flow of, or the rhythm of the energy is flowing as well. Yeah.
All right, nice. So, I know you mentioned, working with Greenwood Park. You mentioned a few different organizations and events that you're working for, and I'm so happy that like the art industry in Milwaukee has grown.
Yes.
I'm so happy, like artists as yourself, artists as Richard here, and then other artists that I've worked with, that the community is really utilizing these
Yes.
artists. I think it's a real dope thing, just because Milwaukee has become that space now. It's taken a long time, but Milwaukee is a creative space. There's so many different local artists, and so many different creatives that's changing the dynamic here. So speak on that in regards to your experiences within the last few years here on your connecting with the community.
I feel very fortunate to be able to meet as many creative people that I've met. Um, it's really funny that because I wasn't really embracing my creativity before, I literally closed myself off of a whole group of people in the city that I wasn't even aware
Right.
were here, because I just was into other things, right?
Yes.
But once I started painting, I started meeting these people doing this and people doing that, and the artists, the poets, the singers, and I just was like, "Where have you guys been all this time?" And they're like, "We've been here. We've been doing this for years." And I'm, Milwaukee's small. Come to find out, I've been connected to people by one person. I'm just like, how did I never know that this exists? But it's just because I wasn't in the space to receive it. So I've been fortunate to meet a lot of very, very talented artists, and have some of them give me instructives on what to do, or just give me a little bit of guidance, and even just watch what they do, watch how they work, offer to teach me things. So I feel like I've actually been very fortunate, considering that I didn't go to a regular art school.
Right. So pretty much you're self-taught.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
self-taught. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I definitely feel like I'm blessed in that sense, that I've been able to get into the rooms that I've been in, that I've done the Bronzeville mural that one year, things like that. I've gotten an opportunity to do. And I do know, I can recognize that Milwaukee has a lot of great and talented artists, and I'm happy that I get to be amongst them.
There you go. Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, Lena Ramirez. Lena, can you give the audience all your social media handles, and then where they can reach you if they want to do any sip and paints at their locations, or
Yes.
you may be able to host it here or at your location.
Yes.
So this is the time to give the world Lena.
Okay. So for right now, I am on Facebook under Lena Ramirez, or Facebook and Instagram under Made You Look. It's spelled MADEWHLOOK. If you inbox me or DM me, I'm responsive. You can request information about my sip and paints. if you would like me to be a live artist for your event, or if even, like I said, I do kids face painting. I host party as well. So if you want to reach out to me, just send me your information that way, or you can reach out to me at Made You Look. Again, it's spelled MADEYWHLOOK at yahoo.com. You can email me as well.
All right. Thank you, Lena. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Lena.
Yes. And ladies and gentlemen, we would like to thank you for watching the Network Effect. Shout out to my business partner, Chantel Bacchus, and blessings to Derek Nelson and his family. We really appreciate your support. And look out for us August 4th, our next Mindful Mondays in person. We will be in touch. Thank you. Peace.
Peace.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Yes.